Joining me now is Tal Heinrich, spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you for highlighting this. Dan, really.
So it must be frustrating to see a lot of the media coverage where they compare the women and children to the women and children on both sides as if, well, you know, both sides have women and children that are being traded.
It's unbelievable. There's no equivalency here whatsoever. Israel is getting back, well, we got back 50 hostages. We're talking about women and children who were forcibly removed from their communities. All they did was to sleep in their beds on a Saturday morning, and they witnessed the worst atrocities that one could imagine before being kidnapped for 50-plus days into the Gaza Strip, where they were held in the worst imaginable conditions. Now, Israel released Palestinian prisoners, and as you showed, these are people who attempted to stab, murder, burn Israeli civilians and Israeli soldiers with Molotov cocktails. We can't compare 4-year-old Abigail Edan, American Israeli, who witnessed her parents being murdered, whose two siblings, hid in a closet for 14 hours like in the Holocaust, and she was kidnapped alone into Gaza, with Yasmin Shaaban, a Palestinian prisoner who in 2014 attempted a suicide bombing in the middle of Tel Aviv. That's what she was planning. She wanted to disguise herself, and she dressed up as a pregnant Jewish woman. In fact, she had an explosive belt. And then she was released. She was arrested again just last year.
So let me ask you this. It does seem then that Hamas is succeeding. Do you think that's unfair to say? I mean, it seems like Hamas is getting exactly what they wanted. In fact, on social media, some people had promised her, the woman you're talking about, you're going to get released as a result of what Hamas is doing.
We are a nation, and you said it correctly, that values life. We are a nation committed to the idea of leaving nobody behind. It's a difficult, grave decision that our government has made, Dan, and it really reflects the public consensus in the country. And this is what we're fighting up against. Hamas, the leaders in Gaza, they say that they want to sacrifice their own population for their sick goal of obliterating the Jewish state, the state of Israel. Will not that happen? I think another thing that we need to highlight here is how these terrorists, these Palestinian prisoners, are being accepted back in their communities, welcomed upon their arrival, the return from Israeli jails. You see the celebrations, Dan, and it's sickening, with Hamas flags in the West Bank. It's really unbelievable. It shows you what we're up against.
This exchange, though, with the prisoners is bringing to light a policy that Israel has where it distinguishes between the justice system for those arrested in the occupied territories and those in the typical Israeli civilian system. And many people say, well, you know, the conviction rate is so much higher when it's effectively a military court that is trying them in these cases, with these people that we're talking about, as opposed to a typical Israeli or even Arab Israeli citizen who would be tried in a typical Israeli court. Your response?
Israel doesn't just want to, arrest people. That's not what we do.
Well, that's what they say. That's what the critics say, right?
That's not what we do. We are stopping terrorism. That's what we're doing. That's what we're, in fact, doing in the West Bank right now, as we're also operating to keep the calm on that front. We don't want another flare-up. And we arrested hundreds of people involved in terrorism just over the course of the past 50 days.
But you're also arresting Israelis, are you not? I mean, you're arresting some of these West Bank settlers who are going and shooting and trying to kill Palestinians as well, correct?
Listen, again, there's no comparison here about the scale of these attacks. It's a very
I'm not talking about the attacks.
I'm
talking about...
It's a very marginal phenomenon that we also address, of course. My prime minister, he also talked to, specific community leaders and so forth, because it's a very important issue that we don't take in a very simple way.
But I think it's important that you guys are out there publicly saying, if there is someone, if there's a West Bank settler, it's an Israeli who shoots and kills a Palestinian civilian, that person will be prosecuted.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We don't want to see anyone taking the law into their hands, not in the West Bank and not elsewhere. It just, I think, sometimes highlighting this phenomena really takes away from the...
I don't think it does. I think it actually shows what Israel is made of. And that's why I often highlight it. I talk about the fact that Israel is prosecuting some of those people. I know that it's sensitive maybe for you within Israel to talk about it, but I can tell you on an international scale, it is something that people will appreciate, the fact that Israel is not just turning a blind eye.
No, we're not turning a blind eye. That's for sure. And
thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.